Video's public.
I believe so. I have to go back and double check, but which link were you looking for? Last class's link or the link prior to that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. It's a B trying to get in my car. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, the other links. The links before this one.
Okay. I'll look and send it to you. I don't think it was last class's lecture wasn't very pertinent, but I mean, it was informational, but it wasn't step-by-step instructions on anything. So I'll send you the link to the one prior to that. Just have to remember which one that was.
I don't know if it was, I'm sorry. I don't know if it was the last class or the class before. It's one of the classes, but it doesn't matter now. I got a new task and a new partner.
Okay. Well, the one where I went over kind of step by step how to set up color palette and the blah 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 and the fonts and everything, I think that would be helpful for you guys.
Okay.
All right. So let me show you this presentation. Just pretty basic, but why isn't this coming up in my options to share? Hold on 1 second. Why do people insist on? I don't know about it. I really hate my phone. Every time I turn off the sound, it just still chimes. It doesn't make a difference. All right, for some reason, it's not coming up when I say share screen. That was equally loud. All right, can y'all see a green slide? Want to pull this up?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this that was actually very pertinent to possibly the second half of your semester. So it was class related. This is a slide presentation I came up across. I'm assuming it was developed by students. The graphics are pretty whack, but the information was good. So that's why I pulled it up, because I want us to be able to set some goals for this project, achieve those goals, like set our personal goals as the designers for this project, and then address the client's goals as well. And then talk about presentation and modeling and what I'm expecting to see out of that. And yeah, it's going to be a process. We're going to look at this project as if we are developing it as a team for a firm. Because typically in a firm, you would not have, unless you're in a very small firm, you would not be just given, you know, a whole project to do yourself. Each of you would take a little bit and piece of it and pull it together and create one final presentation, similar to what you would do in a design competition. So we're going to just go through today what our end results should look like and what we're working towards, so that there's no confusion about what y'all have to produce. So this presentation, Connectivity, a Sustainable Redevelopment Plan for the First Street Corridor, I felt was pertinent because you are also doing essentially a sustainable redevelopment plan for Greenwood, but your presentation will be way, way better than this. All right, so about the project, we're going to ignore the fact that the fonts are inconsistent. That bothers me. About the project, its purpose, why it's important. They should have given some description there, but apparently, I don't know where that information went. Goals, they go through stormwater, potable water, renewable energy, transportation, social systems and demographics, buildings, and their results from their charrette. So this was kind of the plan that they came up with after going through some different charrettes style situations. So they go into about the portal, and I'm not really sure what this is supposed to be saying, but I'm guessing that this is their intro in terms of like a visual storytelling portion. And that doesn't come up on this slideshow, so I can't show it to you. But then it gives you the overall site design. And if you look in the legend, it's just essentially you're making recommendations or proposals for what could go on along the particular corridor. All right. So they have waterways, trailways, existing green space, and proposed green space, which is very important. So that's why when people are talking about like the overall context of the urban space that is the city of Tuskegee, I don't want y'all to get thrown by the scale of going outside of the context of the immediate corridor, because you really do need to document what is there first to address the needs or what is lacking. Now, what they did was kind of divided this corridor up into district. What we can do is say, all right, there's no, and that might have been, you know, an actual political designation for the city. Like, for instance, Greenwood is considered District 1. I think downtown Tuskegee is in District 3 or something like that. So we have districts within the city. We're in District 1, we can say phase 1 or whatever, but they're just breaking it down into segments along the corridor so that you can see how they're addressing different issues. So they have North District, retrofit existing neighborhoods, new construction, infill development, green infrastructure. And they're still in the North District, and they're going about explaining and showing different, you know, examples of green stormwater infrastructure. This is very, very, very bare minimum, like low-key looks like my elementary school son did it, but you know, just know that yours will need to be much better. So then they go into more detail about their different recommendations. So single family residential, and then they have that, you know, marked out based on whatever color is assigned to it. Commercial, same thing, and cul-de-sacs. So we know what a cul-de-sac is. Essentially, it's a dead-end street that ends in a rounded or circular road where you have to slow down and turn around. And cul-de-sacs allow for there to be community meeting spaces or nodes in particular areas. Most people that are looking for a residential neighborhood and they have children, a lot of times they consider places with cul-de-sacs to be safer because you have to slow down to get around the curve. And more often than not, children can come out and play in cul-de-sacs. I'm sure there's a more technical explanation for that, but I'm just telling you from my own experience. All right, so North District Green Infrastructure goes on to suggest permeable pavements for parking, energy efficient lighting, extension of the creek, railroad road greenway. So it's just going into detail, everything that they're recommending. Now they've transitioned to the middle district. So they're breaking down each piece of that map. I don't know how it skipped the South District. We were just talking about the Middle District, but okay. Either way, they go into detail about, you know, bike trails and rain gardens and hotel parking, et cetera, more green spaces, existing and proposed waterways, et cetera. And like I said, these visuals are absolutely horrid. So what you will be producing is not to this standard, it's way above it. And then it talks about retrofitting existing neighborhoods. So retrofitting existing neighborhoods with green stormwater infrastructure, Energy Star appliances, low flow fixtures, occupancy sensors. And you can, a lot of times, if you were in like a master's program or whatever, something of that nature, you could start researching grants that would apply to these different things. And you can make recommendations for your clients that, you know, apply for this grant or apply for this tax write-off, et cetera. Mixed use retail, same thing. So what I do like about this image, and I'm not sure if they produced this imagery or not, but it shows like a perspective of what the streetscape would look like. So we're going to produce at least 2 views of what that streetscape would look like. That is why the digital model is important. So we would select kind of some hot spots for visuals, because at the end of the day, this information will be taken to investors to say, hey, this is what this particular area can become. South District, more green infrastructure, permeable pavement, et cetera. So what probably is a bigger issue here in this particular slide is that they're addressing stormwater runoff in their community, which we know infrastructure and stormwater runoff in Tuskegee on campus and off campus is an issue because we get a lot of flooding when it rains. More information about the infrastructure and alleyways. Somebody in their crew probably did this rendering. I mean, if the particular aesthetic of this drawing were consistent, and as y'all know, I'm a big stickler about presentation because what we're going to look at going forward is more advanced than wherever you are in the world. No matter if your presentation is in Thai or Arabic, if you can't read it at all, but you can look at the visuals and understand what the person is trying to get across to you, that means you're successful in your presentation. So they're talking about the permeable pavers and how they work, et cetera, et cetera. So we're assuming this is for someone who has really no knowledge of sustainable infrastructure. And even if they do, it still helps to provide visuals so that you could specify exactly what it is that you're recommending for the neighborhood. And then they got into some more of that. See, I don't mind these little sketchy drawings. I just wish they remain consistent. I'm not really sure that they did them all themselves. Like they started to do more of it over here, and it got not so great. I'm not even sure what's going around on here because the images are really unclear, so we want to avoid doing that. Pro forma. This just goes into, like in general, what percentage of multifamily for rent, multifamily for sale, retail, restaurant, whatever that you want to produce in the overall urban plan. And this is supposed to give some imagery of what it could look like. They show, you know, the buildings retrofitted for Starbucks and other retails and things like that. And then public transportation in the area, some greenery. Like I said, their imagery is really bad, but the content of this presentation was decent. And at the very least what we want to start thinking about when we're developing or pulling together the information for this project. Does anybody have any questions? Y'all real quiet. I feel like,
As well.
what's up, Tyler?
Okay. Okay, so this is basically kind of, well, not like this, but like a lot better. But like modeling wise, this is what you want? Or like,
Nope, I'm going to show you exactly what I want the models to look like. I want them to be, I want strong renderings out of you guys. I think you and Trent are working on that. So, but in terms of like the views and the imagery, is that what you're referring to? Like a snapshot of the street?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's exactly what we're looking to produce. Okay, now back to this visual storytelling piece. I found the video the other day and then didn't save it, but I want to see if I can pull it up again on HGTV. So anybody have any questions about this presentation and what it is that we're producing, like what our end goal is? Is anybody confused? Because I feel like y'all will come back to me later and be like, I didn't understand, or this was vague, or something of that nature. And I just want to make sure that you understand where we're going with this. Y'all need clarity on anything? We're going to go into further detail, but I just want to stop here for a break, just in case y'all need to ask questions.
Yeah, I was going to say probably just, like you said, we're going to go into more detail. So as it goes on, I think I'll have questions and things like that. But at least like you're saying, from what I'm looking at, an understanding of like what we're trying to get to and what we are going to be looking for and stuff. So, yeah, just as we continue to talk and go into more detail, I think I'll have more questions for you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. All right, let me close out of this. And then let me see if I can pull up this HGTV video, because I did find it. Just have to remember how I found it. I think it was actually on the HGTV site.
Excuse me, Ms. Asamoah.
Yes, sir.
Just for slight clarification, just to make sure I'm reiterating this correctly, we're not working on just one individual building together. We're working on multiple buildings for the entire corridor.
Right, correct. We're going to be making recommendations for the corridor and producing some visuals of what the corridor could look like if those recommendations are put in place. You won't be working on the interior of the buildings. This is essentially an urban planning or urban redevelopment project, which I know you really don't get classes in that until 4th year, but there's a lot of information on YouTube. I'll assign you some readings just so you can get acclimated to the idea of developing for an entire community versus a building in the site.
Right. Okay, cool.
Not a problem. One other question then.
Yes.
Since we're doing like the project for the entire thing, are you having it set up like dividing us into groups of what we're focusing on a certain section, or are we gonna do the entire section as like thing?
Right now, we're still in the discovery phase and kind of formulating our research and content into a, what do you want to call it? A cohesive thing, like a cohesive presentation. What I'm trying to do is prevent us from getting to the end of this project and then are trying to pull all of the imagery and stuff together then. I'd rather you do it now. So all of those graphics and charts and maps and pictures and visuals that help people to understand where the project started, we do that now. Like all your investigation and analysis stuff, we do that now. We do some very thorough analysis, and then we go into development of the solutions and those images next. So once we get into development of solutions, each of you will have tasks that relate to that as well. But right now we need to get the base core content and research documented well and at presentation quality.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So this thing you're showing us with the hometown is how you want us to kind of set it up when it's time for us to present. So we'll have an idea of like what we're needing to grab together for people to understand what we're trying to do.
What I'm showing you the hometown situation for you to understand kind of the visual storytelling portion of it better.
Okay.
I remember, I don't want to recap, I want a full video. Hold on. Y'all can still see my screen, right? HGTV, hometown, full episode. I pulled this up the other day, and now I don't remember where I went. And of course, I never like save things like I should. Nope. Episodes, will that do it? Shouldn't I be able to pull it up in like my history or something? I feel like, did I close it? Union City, Google, miles. Nope, nope. I closed the tab. I didn't mean to close the tab, but I closed the tab and now can't find it. Isn't there a way to look up your browser history? Here we go, history. I should have bookmarked it. Dang it. Is there a way to go further back in my browser history or nah? It just does it for today. Can y'all hear it?
Not really, but we can
Okay.
see it.
Stop share. Wait.
And we knew our students would rise to any occasion. And they did that. And they'll do it again, and again,
All right,
and
can
again.
you hear it now?
This is our time to redefine what tech education looks like, again.
Yes, I can hear you now.
People think small town's not cool, but they're wrong.
We're committed to changing that one house at a time. Oh, wow.
I'm an artist.
Aaron is the most talented person I've ever met. I'm a craftsman.
Ben is a problem solver. He just knows how to fix it. Our powers combined, we're pretty creative.
We just want to give all the old houses some love.
We're doing this. We're saving this town because it's worth it.
All new Hometown, Tuesday night at 10 on HGTV.
So that's not the official intro, but that's like one of the ads related to the intro. And I feel like it gives you like in the intro itself, like they're coming into the town and they show the downtown areas and the dilapidated structures or whatever. They show shots of the people, and then they get into their actual projects and the things that they're talking about, rehabilitation. So they really are creating a story using visuals, using video, using, you know, panoramics and drone imagery. Like the drone imagery comes into the town from a bird's eye view. And so you can see the town. I think it just focuses on the downtown area. They talk about who they are and what they look to accomplish, like their goals. And then they talk about the existing community, the people of the community, and what they're doing to help revitalize the community. And so that is kind of the step-by-step story process that I want us to go through visually with Tuskegee. There can be like a few words of narration, there could be a full narration. So it could just be like inspirational phrases, similar to what Mr. Scott was talking about in the NOMA presentation. So in an intergenerational cultural community, there was music, there was, you know, people painting, people dancing, people coming together over food, like all of the important things about that particular community that made it what it was. That's what I want us to put together for Greenwood. And at the end, we can show like the visual walkthrough down the corridor and narrate some of the suggestions that we're making for the area. Does that make sense?
A little bit, yeah. It makes sense. Just continue. I think I'll catch on.
Okay, so that's like the virtual story team. So what that's going to require of the virtual story team is some storyboarding. I think that would be extremely helpful. But as you walk around the community, taking pictures and talking to people and getting to know the residents is what you should be doing in order to develop an accurate depiction of the area. You get an idea of kind of what's important to the people of Tuskegee and what is important about, you know, revitalizing this particular area. There was, hold up. I'm sorry, y'all get to see all of my emails and everything today. So this particular HGTV series, Hometown, they actually had a competition for people to enter to become the next hometown that they would focus on. And Tuskegee actually applied. They didn't get it, but they did produce a video. And I can tell you, based on the production of the video, like why they didn't get it. I wish they had contacted us prior to, but I want you to see the video that was created. And then we can go about seeing how we can, you know, improve upon it.
So, you want a town that is steeped in history. Well, look no further than Tuskegee, training ground for the Tuskegee Airmen, birthplace of Rosa Parks, and the launch pad for Lionel Richie. This is where Tuskegee University was founded by a former slave named Lewis Adams, with the backing of very powerful men, including George Campbell, a former slave owner and Southern aristocrat. He was also a merchant who could get anything anybody needed.
He had the first, you could say, Amazon in the state of Alabama, probably in the South, where he could order any type of, you could order any type of material from him, any type of device or any type of merchandise.
In 1881, Booker T. Washington came to Tuskegee and worked miracles getting the school up and running. The original students took natural resources from the dirt to make bricks, then used their handmade bricks to construct buildings that became their schoolhouses. Through partnerships and friendships with the men who were running this country, at the same time he was fulfilling his mission, Booker T. Washington built Tuskegee University into an academic powerhouse. The home he lived in is well preserved and is even a tourist attraction.
Okay, so we talk about Booker T. He was enslaved to the age of 9, learned how to read and write at 11, went to Hampton at 19, then became the president here at 25.
In contrast, many of our historic homes are in really bad shape. Just look at the Johnston Curtright House on North Main Street, built in 1850, and in those days it was grand. Then it became distressed, then partially restored, and now it looks like this. An eyesore near the gateway leading to Tuskegee University. We also have revered neighborhoods that have lost their luster. Bibb Street was once the place to live in Tuskegee. It was home to doctors, professors, and other educated men and women. They built sturdy homes in this family friendly neighborhood where children became lifelong friends. When Marion Garman returned to Tuskegee several years ago, she moved into the house her parents built on Bibb Street.
I don't remember whose house that is, but you see that house back there, ladies? That needs to be torn down. I don't know. It's a mess. This house is also empty. I know the parents are gone, but the daughter lives in Atlanta, and I guess she's just not doing anything. So that's sad.
What about the condition of the house?
It's probably awful. It's just been, I know I've been home 25 years, and it's been sitting there empty since I've been home. So, windows are broken, doors are broken in. Well, this is William Dawson's house, who was a famous arranger. Directed the choir at Tuskegee Institute for years and wrote and arranged spirituals. He's a very famous conductor and musician.
Similar to Bibb Street, the Greenwood community is a mixed environment. Empty lots, attractive homes, and some spaces that are pure blight. Businesses hard to find, but it wasn't always this way.
We had car dealerships. We had a complete school system from kindergarten all the way up into high school. Multiple grocery stores and actually true neighborhood groceries. I mean, you could actually get everything for a meal right there, not a convenience store. Cleaning establishments. We had a men's store. I was telling you how that's where I got my suits and also got my scout uniform and everything. We had shoemakers, Rogers and Connors, all of them actually making the shoes.
So there are at least those two areas and maybe others that we could find that would be a real shot in the arm for the town, and we could enhance those areas, not destroy them, but enhance them in some cases. Refurbish certain parts of them.
South Main has the largest number of intact historic homes concentrated on one street. Homeowners would welcome professional design services for their wish list of repairs and renovations. And downtown Tuskegee could also use professional TLC.
I would love to have the hometown crew here in Tuskegee. We have some beautiful architecture, we have historical significance, and I think a bit of support will help us reclaim our glory of what our town should and can and will be.
My name is Omari Neal. I am 22 years old from Tuskegee, Alabama, and I attended Tuskegee University and graduated December 2019. Growing up in Tuskegee and being surrounded by those that love Tuskegee, I had a deeper love for it as well. I understand that we have a lot of work that needs to be done, but there's also great assets that we have to our city. And if we was to have someone to come assist us in refurbishing the homes, I think that would be great.
The Tuskegee Area Chamber of Commerce maintains a directory of businesses that includes local contractors and subcontractors who could work right alongside the hometown crews. Choose Tuskegee for your production and your viewers. They will love our history and architecture, our icons, traditions, celebrations, our residents and their stories.
Literally within
Best friends.
This town and hometown is a winning combination.
Okay, so what did y'all think about that?
Oh, we. Oh, we. It's like, it legit looks like, wow. I don't know where to start with that.
So break it down like piece by piece. What about it was like, what gave you that reaction?
Okay, so like, I liked how it originally was starting off. Like, first giving you the understanding of like a little bit of the background history of Tuskegee, which is cool, and things like that. But then it kind of like broke itself down into just like, okay, where are we going after this? Like, you went from like the history part of it, like, okay, great, we got that, you know, a little bit with highlights of people that are here, which is nice, you know, but then you started running off into just like other people that lived here, and then you're talking about other groups that can help out, and then you're talking about, you know, you don't want to tear these places down, but you want to like reuse them and stuff like that. So it's like, it was just a lot of different things that are going on here. And it's just like, I can see where like revitalizing the hometown, it's like, okay, what are we supposed to do? You know, just seeing it from like, if I was gonna take on that challenge, like, what are we really supposed to do? You don't want anything changed, but you want help of putting it back to its greatest glory. So I'm confused. I think what would have been very helpful is if like they at least had an understanding and guideline of like where we want to go from point one all the way to the like very last point. The photos and images were great though, of showing just like certain vacant lots and things like that, and sometimes getting a little bit of the history of people that used to live there and things like that. I wish they would have like touched more on a lot of those businesses and stuff, but they really just kind of gave snippets and a lot more, you know, they showed certain highlights of like the institutes and things like that, but you know, they didn't really focus on the area that they're really trying to focus on. They just gave like a street and said, yeah, this street here and this community over here. Like nobody gets.
So I want to show you another town, which is not far from here, Wetumpka, Alabama, actually won. So I wanted to show you what they produced and just kind of take note of what they did differently. So starting out,
I've been to this. I've been here.
So take note of the imagery, take note of the different senses that are brought into play. So it's not just, people talking over pictures. There's music. The visuals are very clear. And the people that are speaking are fairly brief. So I think that has a lot to do with it, but let's take a look. Oh, this didn't even get into, I thought this was the whole intro video. Hold up. Is this it? All right, let me see. Is this it? All right, skip ad, skip ad. I want you to see the entry video that.
There's a lot of laughing and crying and screaming.
Cheering and excitement.
This is completely unhelpful. What is this? This is not it. Okay, let me see if I put in Wetumpka, Alabama, hometown submission video. Is this it? Okay, I think this was it. Let's see.
Hey guys, this is Laurie Chapman from Elba, Alabama. I wanted to nominate my town because it's the town that I've come to call home and that I love and that I think has so much potential. And I think if you just came here to see it for yourself, you would think the same too. I'd like to take you around town, show a few of these places to you, and let you make up your mind for yourself. Thank you for your time.
All right, this is not Wetumpka, but I feel like they do a better job of
Elba Theater project. We bought the Elba Theater building several years ago.
Imagery.
Since then, we have gone through a design phase. We have a full set of construction drawings, and we're working from those as we go into our construction phase. We have done work on the facade, the alleyway, and some structural improvements on the inside of the building. And we are currently working with the contractor on HVAC, roofing, installation of fire suppression system, installation of restrooms, lighting, and plumbing and electrical associated with those things. We're soon going to have a usable facility, one that we can better serve the community and to make a difference in our town. We are still working on finding ways to do some other items and some of those things that we think HGTV could really make an impact. Building out a ticket counter, a concession stand, and a catering kitchen, and doing a historic replica of the original marquee. These are just a few of the items we're excited to implement, and we know that the moment that we turn that marquee on, the energy that it brings back to Court Street, to our downtown area, is something that is hard to quantify, but we know that it's going to make a huge impact on our town. We just look forward to the ability to have this kind of partnership with HGTV.
This is for the home of my mother, Jo Ruth English. The house was built in 1947. My great-grandfather, John Claude Fleming, who was a lawyer here in Elba, had this house built. My grandmother and her family moved in when she was around 10. So she and her sisters grew up there. My mother and her 2 sisters grew up there. And lastly, my sisters and I grew up there. A lot of weddings have been held there. My grandmother and her sisters married. My mother and their sisters married there, as well as my sisters and I. It has seen a lot of baby showers, bridal teas. People still ask if they can have events there. A lot of people tell my mother that this is their favorite house in Elba. This house has been
So we're not going to go through all of this because this wasn't even the winning entry, but in comparison, what do you see that kind of set it apart from the Tuskegee entry? Students.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Like you had said, just some better job on the visuals. The conversation, I don't want to say it was better, but it was a little more. It pulled you in a little more, like you said, with the music going over it and everything like that.
Yeah, I wasn't too fond of the Eye of the Tiger, but I can understand why they did that because it pertained to their not Don't Live in East Alabama. It got into, there's a Carlisle, Alabama. Jalen, did you know?
No, I didn't know that.
Going down there and find out what's up.
I was gonna say, definitely, I think that like, I liked how they took a lot of like that main image of like, let's say their town. And then like, I kind of like, okay, like in reference to the town, this is where we're going and what I'm going to show you. And then that like 3D panoramic visual that they did with one of the drones, just showing you the entire space and then giving you some snapshots of the interior and things like that. That went really well along with like them just talking about the space and what they, space used to be and what they dreamed it to be. I think that was really helpful for sure. I would say maybe something like that could be implemented into like ours in a sense of just like, if we're going to show this community and things like that, maybe a good pan view. And then like, if so, like, represent certain places that we're going to go in here and then show you like a pan view or something.
Yes, so I think what's going to be important for you all in that particular team is developing a storyboard ahead of time, so that you can essentially set up different squares, right, and say, similar to what you would do if you were laying out a design portfolio. I'm gonna just go to a blank slide. Similar to what you were doing, what you would do if you were developing a design portfolio, you would kind of block it out and say scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, image of Molten Field, image of, or video of people marching, you know, you get what I'm saying? So you're essentially going into creating a document. I'm trying to get the shapes together. Give me a second. That has different blocks. And then you're creating a sequence of events and how you want it to be shown. And so if you want overall context, what's the best way to capture that? If it's going to be a panoramic of Tuskegee, what are you panning over? What type of device are you going to use? And what stills do you want to capture? What video do you want to capture? Is there video that you already have? If there's someone that you want to narrate, who is that person? Give them a script for what you want them to say, like the lady's narrative about the house that she wanted to focus on, because I think part of the requirements for the submission was to actually say, what are some areas in the town that you want to focus on for revitalization? So you could say specifically, we want to focus on this corridor. Why are you focusing on this corridor? What's the historical significance of it? Excuse me, I can't make words today apparently. But you get the idea, like you would set up a box, like a storyline like this, and then you can start filling in information. And this is what I recommended for y'all to do for your portfolios last year as well, when you were laying out your storyboarding. So you're telling people, you driving into Tuskegee from whatever street. Overhead, and then the next box would say, you know, overhead panoramic of the full city or something like that. So this is for my team that's doing the kind of visual archiving. And it doesn't need to be a lot of people talking over it. People like consistency, so maybe it's 1 or 2 voices that are narrating, and you choose a soundtrack that's consistent. I think for the NOMA competition, there were maybe 3 different songs. There was African drumming in the intro, Charlie Wilson's Return to the Mac, and then Blow the Whistle. So make 3. Correct me if I'm wrong, Trent. But anyway, like 3 songs max. We'll need to keep, you know, changing the music a million times. But you can put in little sketches of what you would like, or in these blocks, you can say, all right, on this day, we're going to take the view driving into Tuskegee, or take still shots. Do we want stills and video? So these are the decisions you're making in your storyboarding process. So then you just go ahead filling in that content, just as if you were designing a portfolio, and then you can go back with all the information that you need and edit it into one cohesive thing. I think for the submission that Tuskegee gave, they might have had an overall plan, but the execution didn't come out too well.
I'm just getting started and I need to save money.
Inkfile gave you the best
because
service for the
I'm
best
not sure
price.
who was
As a
in charge.
freelancer, the
What's up, everybody? This is Jose from Southern Hill Dogs. We're in Wetumpka, Alabama, on the bridge. You guys ready to tour this awesome Alabama town? Let's do it.
Let's not do this.
I was about to say that's how you want us to be.
Hell no. Do not do this. Oh my God. Please, please don't do this. It could just go very wrong. You want to make sure your auto quality is clear. Your visuals are clear, that there's not a whole bunch of background noise, and I know there's a way to edit things and eliminate that. If you got music, that it stays consistent in terms of its volume. Derek Stroud might be of a big help with this because I know he did the video editing for Noma, but I just wanted y'all to get an idea of what I was talking about in terms of visual storytelling and what I was expecting of you. But I think you have a pretty good idea. But I would definitely start with that storyboarding process prior to going out into the community and taking pictures and stuff like that, because then you have kind of a checklist of what you need to collect. I wish I could find the winning entry video. Anyway, yeah, I hope that was helpful. All right, so on to the next. This is our 302 Google Slides. So what I wanted to get into as well, do we need to take a break? Are y'all good? It's 2:11. I've been talking for about an hour, but you know, it's hard life. So what I wanted us to talk about were your other tasks on the list and what we're trying to get to. There's another model that I wanted to show you guys. Oh, okay, it's up there. Okay, so rotate it back. Rotate counterclockwise. So I pulled up some images of some models. This is a little more detailed than we want to do at that scale. I think we're going to stick to a 16th inch scale because then that will mean a 3-story building would be, this is, look at a 3-story building, which is 1 story, 11, about 33, between 33 and 40 feet high. I'm thinking that's probably the highest that will go along that strip. So let's see, this is the 8th inch scale. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40. So a 3-story building would be about 3 inches high, like stacked up. Does it make sense for my physical model makers?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, just under, yeah, between 2.5 to 3 inches high, depending on how tall the building is. Really around 2.5, 2 inches high. I'm looking at the scale now. So I think that's a decent scale. If we go bigger, let's see, where's 3/4, 3/16. 3/16 would put us at 24 feet, 28. So 3/16 will put us at about 5 or 6 inches tall for your highest building. So we want to be somewhere between a 1/16 and 3/16 inch scale. Either way, in terms of like what you're going to be doing is this. It'll be massing models. Somebody mute their mic.
Hey, Vaughn, mute your mic, fool.
Anyway, so context. There'll be lots of context that will show the outlines. A lot of this can be laser cut, which I recommend you doing. And essentially what you'll be doing is building it up. Building up your contours, one, and making sure you show the outlines of the streets, and then the area that we are recommending development for, we would have to kind of hold off on that to the end so that any things like curb cuts and stuff like that, we could kind of place that into the model. So I just want y'all to really plan out this model well. We'll determine what the site parameters will be, like how much of the context you're going to cover. But you need to kind of measure out how big that's going to be at either a 16th or 3/16 inch scale. Any questions about that before I go to the next slide? This is another version of a contextual building map, and they actually incorporated some glass and wood, but the surrounding buildings that aren't representing the corridor that we're addressing would be a totally different color, and we would just show the massings. And then the actual existing corridor we can show in another color, and we would demonstrate the curb cuts, the sizes of the width of the sidewalks, things of that nature, any tree foliage, stuff like that. The model that's in Wilcox A in the case does a pretty decent job. I can't think of all the detail that's in there right now, but that would be good to look at in terms of physical models. The model that last year's, the site model that last year's, what you call it, was just okay. I would consider that study model, not final model quality. And this is, you know, a master plan visual. And then they have, you know, different things shaded out for existing new foliage, new walkways and things like that. So essentially you're color coding a map and putting in the old and the new, and then delineating what those things are. I would like us to do this with our 3-dimensional map, like our computer image one. And then once we get into it, like be able to show a walkthrough down the corridor of what it could look like. So maybe we won't, I think this would require a snapshot of the overall map. And then the mapping team, which is like Rakia and Cedric, they can go in Photoshop and do all of the swanky stuff here. And then y'all can focus on the actual rendering elements. So it really is, I wish this was a better pixel quality so you can see it. I might have to go on Pinterest so you can see exactly what it is. But y'all get the overall idea of what I'm referring to?
In terms of like,
Anybody got any questions?
you were saying that last part in terms of like digital. What you saying that last part, like digital?
I can't hear you.
Those last images that you were just showing,
Uh-huh.
were those you were saying in terms of like digital?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Like kind of just fading out the certain parts, but taking the rendering to the highlighted pieces?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And just some very similar to what the NOMA composition team did, where they took it to real actual images, like it really was like past, present, future. That's what we want to consider our storyline to become. Does that make sense? And then this, I pulled this up because it just gave some consistency in terms of like color palettes and imagery scale for our maps and analysis, especially in this upper right-hand corner. So I want us to get in the habit of pulling up images on Pinterest or other architectural, magazines or whatever, like pulling up some references to see what high quality presentation looks like and aiming for that, like shooting for that, because you're not just competing amongst yourselves, you're competing nationally and internationally, because at the end of the day, this presentation will be featured amongst an international firm base that's pretty prestigious. So we want to make sure that we're very consistent in the way we develop things.
Hey, Miss Asuma, so everybody's project's gonna be the same color?
What do you mean the same color?
Like everybody's using that same color palette, so basically the same color?
Okay, so everybody's not working on the same thing. Everybody's kind of working on different bits and pieces of the project as we go along. In terms
But that's
of,
what I'm saying. I'm confused. So is this a group project through the whole time? Or are we doing our own thing? Like, are we just presenting a whole group project?
what we're probably going to do is compile a group project for the first half of the semester, and then the second half, y'all can do your own individual designs of it. Because we actually have another firm that wants to work with us in terms of like developing the interiors of a building.
Okay.
Unless somebody else has another idea, because I feel like it's a lot to take on for one individual student to do all of everything that is required for this, rather than we work together in teams to get the different elements done, and then we can produce some very high quality visuals to present to the town and present to Gensler. Not to say that each of you won't get to dibble and dabble in different parts of the project. I'm just saying it helps to have each thing designated rather than one person have to do a visual storytelling thing, a master plan, analysis, like break it up into pieces. Yeah, no, maybe. Y'all can give your opinion.
Sound good to me.
That's why I asked you if you've been assigned tasks, but if for some reason that task doesn't, like if there's something else that you want to strengthen during this project and you would like to be assigned a different task, then let me know. All right, we're gonna take a break right now. The sun is beaming on me and I really need to get some water or something. Probably gonna relocate to my home. And then we'll come back and just make sure to clarify where we're going from here, check in with each of you to see where we're at and what we need to gather. And then if there's any questions, we'll answer them then. So let's take a 15-minute break. Sound good? Maybe, somewhat.
Yes.
Does anybody need to see me in my office before I go home?
I did need to see you, but I'm not in Tuskegee yet, so I'll probably just stop by your house.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna go home. I'll see you on 15. Okay, sorry about that. Took me longer than expected to connect to the internet in my home. I would just like us to talk about each of your tasks so that we know where you are and we know where you need to go from here. So let's start with our modeling, our digital modeling group, Mr. Scott, Mr. Littles. How are we looking?
I understand what all has to be done. I also see me and Tyler were looking at this zoning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Me and Tyler were looking at this zoning map that they have in Tuskegee, and it shows like the acres, different acres of land that people have.
Okay.
I think Tyler's about to start showing it. And I'm not texting and driving. My mom is driving.
Okay.
But yeah, it's showing like.
Hi, Trent's mom.
Hello. It's showing different lots that are vacant, and it has like the different acres of land and stuff like that. So I think that's useful for like things that we want to build upon on Montgomery Road.
Acrevalue.com. This is cool.
And it shows who owns the land too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I like accidentally came upon this site where people that were looking to buy land in Tuskegee could contact them if they were looking to invest or whatever. I didn't dig too deep into it just because I was looking for something else, but I might be able to pull that up again. Acre value. So along that corridor, who owns that land? I think it would be helpful to do a map that shows, and this is not for your team, this is more for Rakia and Cedric. I think it would be helpful to do a map that shows university-owned land and private-owned property.
Okay.
So is our map gonna be the whole Tuskegee? Not just Greenwood now?
No.
Or just in that area?
Yeah, we need to show a context map, but I'm thinking in the Greenwood area. We want to stay in the district of Greenwood. This is really interesting though. All right, I want to show somebody put this map on concept board. I'm not sure who, but I think it was extremely helpful in terms of delineation of site parcels and what's existing and what's not existing. I'm not sure how, recent this is. I'm not sharing screen, so that doesn't help you. Hold on. I did that like 4 times in my presentation class this morning, and I was showing them step-by-step things. I had to start over. Anyway, so I'm not sure where this map came from, but I think this would be extremely helpful. Do y'all know who put this map on the concept board by any chance?
I think they added some stuff during our design charrette. Is another class doing this project?
I'm not sure what exactly. I know 5th year was doing some work on it, but I think they're transitioning to their thesis. I have to talk to Mr. Fluker and see if he wants to. I just got to talk to Mr. Fluker because they were supposed to present apparently on Friday, but like Mr. Fluker didn't tell me the time, so I ended the thing. because he didn't say anything. So I'll have to reach out to the 5th year class. But yeah, so in terms of doing a very clear, delineated parcel by parcel map that shows the vacancies and things of that nature, I think this could be used as a good base map for that. I just couldn't figure out how to, I think you could download things off of here, but when I did it, it downloaded it as something strange. It wasn't like a regular JPEG or a PNG file, something else. So perhaps we could save this out and then save it as a PDF or PNG for the mapping team to edit. But essentially you would have this and then do but let me step back a minute. There is a certain aesthetic that I really want to try to capture with the maps this time around. And I'm going to show you exactly what that is.
I'm about to get on the road, so I might miss a little of this.
Okay.
But I'm gonna stop by.
It's casting, streaming live. So you will have access to it. Oh, why do I always do this to myself? I keep closing things. Like I open up the tabs prior to y'all coming into class, and then I close them. And I forget where I got them from. So there are a few things I pulled up off of Pinterest because we know that people, what I like about Pinterest is people, designers from all over the world post their visuals on Pinterest, and you really do get a good idea of how people are representing things graphically or visually. And there's a certain style that I want us to capture with this project. Let me see if I can find it. That's not it. It's hard to see these plans because everything's really pixelated, but I'll see if I can zoom in. Oop. I don't know why it keeps popping back out. No, I want it to, I don't want the cookies on the site. I just wanted it to go in more. So something similar to this where it's like very light and airy and the color is really distinguishing the parts that we want people to focus on. So even in terms of that map, I think we can take the difference of the map, like subtract all of the dark lines and use the white lines as boundary delineation. And then that way, whatever color that we put on the map is going to stand out very distinctly. I don't want you to add new ideas to my home feed. I want you to take me to where I was. And so these are some more, this is exactly what I'm talking about. So can everybody see this image? You see how it looks like the roads and things are subtracted out. So the roads and site boundaries and everything become white. And then the context around it is like a very subtle gray. And then all of your directional arrows and like your circulation, your programming, all of that is in very bright, vivid color. That's how I would like our presentation to look. And I think if we utilize the map on that's currently on concept board, we can achieve that very well. Here's another representation. You see what I'm talking about? Is everybody getting what I'm saying? Picking up what I'm putting down? So the roads and the buildings are whited out. The lots themselves are gray. And then all the important stuff is in bright, vivid, color-coded elements. Do y'all see my screen? Like y'all not saying anything?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. I'm just making sure because y'all know I have a habit of forgetting to share screen. So I feel like this is very doable. And I'm going to show you exactly how to go about doing it too. So that'll be great. In the meantime, in between time, before we go there, let's kind of go down the line of the groups. So digital team, you know where you're at. I think that base plan map that's in what you call it will help you. The one that's on concept board will help you because it has the building footprints on there as well. It might help to actually reach out to fifth year and find out who has that map. Like if they have it in AutoCAD or whatever, then that will cut some of your workload. Not that you need to take it into AutoCAD to scale it and put it in Revit, but it could be helpful. Another thing we need to address are the contours for the site. Both of our modeling teams. So everything here is represented as flat, which we know that the terrain of Tuskegee is not that way in actuality. So we want to make sure that as we're developing our models, both virtual and physical, that the actual contours are represented. So with that being said, since the virtual team has to go about like building up the buildings, I'm not sure, Trent and Tyler, if y'all have gotten involved in this yet, but I would suggest taking the contour map that you had, which is also in this document, and then, where are we? Trent, I thought you put it on here. Pretty sure you did. There we go. Taking the contour map that's on here, taking that into AutoCAD, scaling it, and then making sure that you have the contours laser cut for the virtual model. No, have the contours laser cut for the physical model, sorry. And the virtual model have the contours, the change in topography represented. But what I think will help you is if we delineate the context that needs to be modeled. And a big part of that is going to help our storytellers as well, our virtual storytellers. So it's my thought that, and it's not a complete triangle, but it's my thought that we kind of get, let's see, if we go from the start, do we want to start at the Oaks? Here's the school. Not sure what this lot is. Logan Street. What is this street that intersects with Scott Street? Clark Ave is adjacent. I think it's directly coming out of the back gates. It's no longer Moton Drive once you come out of there. For some reason, I want to say it's Washington. Either way, I think it would be good for us to capture like coming up to the triangle. That didn't help you. Hold on, give me a second. And I think I'll delineate this in Photoshop just to give you some distinct boundaries. Because for me, at least, I think in terms of visual storytelling, we can do a very good job of showing the context of the whole city and telling the story of the city of Tuskegee and then the neighborhood of Greenwood through stills, through overhead fly-throughs and narration, like the video that we saw, like that can be that. And then once we center in on the town of Greenwood, then we can, you know, focus on things within those boundaries. But I said, let's capture the triangle because then you can get the context and the roads that are in between the two corridors. The university is important, but I'm not certain how much of it we want to show because we know that the university is vast, excuse me. And you're welcome to give your thoughts and opinions and, you know, say what's on your mind. Anybody? Nobody has objections. Nobody's tired of Miss Asamoah yet.
What?
I like that idea. I like that idea of showing the triangle, like you said. And in terms of showing the school, I think we can maybe show the front entrance, I would say, and that's it. And maybe T-Sex.
Maybe the front entries, I don't know about T-Sex. I feel like the Emerys are right adjacent to the gate. So maybe the parts just adjacent to the gate. I'm not even sure if we want to get into Margaret Murray and everything. I feel like that could, once we start showing the university campus, that could become excessive, but we want to demonstrate that it is there. So maybe a portion of it.
Yeah, I like what you said about the maybe the Emerys.
Yeah, I would say definitely maybe the Emerys, only because I'm like, I don't want us to like get so distracted and high functioned about the university itself that it takes away from what we're actually really focusing on.
It's a very good point, Mr. Building. Very, very good point, because we have a tendency to rope in the university and, oh, the university is great, the university is great. University needs to work too, no?
Right, exactly.
Matter, but.
Right, so I just don't want to like end up, you know what I'm saying, when representing it, it's like, okay, so we got a lot of detail we did about the university, but then it's like, if they look at it like, okay, it seems like I know more information about the university than the actual site itself. So I would say try to focus just more on the site more than anything, but definitely, like you said, the Emerys would be a good thing to represent. And just maybe along that gate line, sure, but really focusing mostly on the spaces that are
along the corridor.
Yeah.
So the two corridors are important to me because I feel like one could be focused on residential and maybe mixed use and some like Airbnbs and things like that. If we did like Franklin Road, made suggestions for along Franklin Road because that's what's primarily there. And then along, what do you call Old Montgomery Road, that really becomes the catch-all with all the businesses and things like that. And we can make recommendations for the businesses. That's just my 2 cents. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think that'd be really good for sure. Especially just because I know, regardless of either direction you're coming to, I also know like if you made one side really residents, it takes nothing to really come through that space as well, or through down the street, and you'll end up on the business side of things. But I think that would be a really good way for people to like, especially coming to the university, understand like, okay, go right, I'm living with residents. Over here is where I'm going for businesses if I'm, going down a separate road. So it wasn't like, okay, where does residence start and business begin, sort of thing. So,
and that's not to say there's not residences on there that we want to, like there's residents on that street that we want to maintain. But I think in terms of suggesting a business corridor, we would like to focus on placing most of the businesses along the street. And maybe there are a few like bed and breakfasts along Old Montgomery Road as well. But in terms of like renters, like student renters or faculty people that are in the area,
I'd say focus on
and that would be along Franklin and the streets in between. Now, where is Bibb Street in relationship to all of this? Oh, okay, I see it. So Bibb Street is off of West Montgomery. Bibb Street is very interesting. What is this street before?
That Benson Street, past the Greenwood Cemetery. That's where that community center is that I was talking about, like a recreational center.
So you said there's a rec center on Vincent Street?
Yeah, on Benson Street or Benson Avenue.
Oh, Benson. Why am I not seeing that?
You remember the guy that was talking in the Tuskegee documentary?
There it goes. It's at the very bottom.
It was
like at the very partial where you're about to clip off.
Oh, okay. So it's all the way over here.
Yeah. It's like it snapped down further.
So there's a finish what you were saying, Trent. I'm sorry.
You remember the guy that was he was on the Tuskegee documentary. He was a light-skinned guy, older, with glasses.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's one of the people that works in that center, and he had a lot to talk about with Greenwood. I was talking to him like right before school started back, and he had a lot to say about Greenwood.
So he would be before I forget, on Sunday, there's a meeting with community members. They haven't sent me the link yet, the Zoom link, but you'll have the opportunity to talk with community people, hear kind of their concerns, ask them questions for what they want to see in the area, ask them what they think would be, some of the best places for development or things that need to be focused on in the Greenwood district. So yeah, we'll have an opportunity to talk to them. And engage. There's a couple of different groups in the area that are trying to redevelop. So
what day did you say that was?
Sunday. Let me check. Let me check the time. Okay, so they had a meeting last night, apparently. And district meeting. Guy Trammell, that's his name. Trent. What is this? Oh, did y'all see this information? Can y'all see my screen right now? About the historic figures that the different streets are named after in Greenwood?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay. Did I send this? I feel like some of you got this at some point. Well, maybe not. Maybe it was just myself and Dr. Daniels, Mr. Fluker, but it's good information to have. Oh, he did tell me to forward to Kayvon. My bad. Sorry. Kayvon, Trent, Mr. Carlisle, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Dildy, Mr. Scott, Mr. Carlisle, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Thompson. This is what I get for calling you 3 stacks for a full semester. Now it throws me off whenever I have to send out an email. Carlisle, Davis, Wallace, Littles. Did I get everybody? 2, 4, 6, 8. Yep. And yes, I know there's a way to create a group in Outlook. I just have not done it yet. All right, so back to the information for the meeting on Sunday. What is Sunday's date? February 21st? Meeting 21st. That is not what I asked you for. This is not it. All right, I'll send you, once she sends me the information about it, I can send it to you. She hasn't sent me a link yet. Oh, did I just miss it? Might have missed it. For some reason, I thought it was Sunday. Yep, I missed it. Yeah, wait. Okay. Monday afternoon finds you well. This is a reminder, we'll have a brainstorming visioning call for Operation Greenwood on Sunday, February 21st at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. I've heard from some, but not all regarding your, okay, so there is a meeting happening on the 21st. That's what I had on my calendar. The 16th one, I wasn't paying attention to. So Sunday at 4 p.m. Central. It's going down. Let's go back to this. So I want us to really delineate where we're going to, what we're going to cover in terms of contextual information as it relates to the site. And I think we should go about using this map as a Lord, I can't even use words. This map as a base map, but we want to edit it to look a little more professional. Not to say that this doesn't look professional. I'm just not fond of this aesthetic. So we're going to get rid of the lines and things of that nature So I'll contact Mr. Fluker and find out what Fifth Year is doing in regards to this project. I know they're going to be working on thesis, so unless someone is doing this as a thesis project, I don't think they're going to be going too much further with it outside of the charrette, but it would be good to have whatever information they gathered. So essentially, in terms of context for the university, if we're coming up West Montgomery, can y'all see my screen? The map on the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Trent, I don't know how you can like ride and look at screens. I get nauseous. But anyway, so in terms of adjacencies and context, perhaps we stick with, let's see, where's the Oaks? Is this the Oaks right here? Oh no, this is the Oaks right here. So whatever is adjacent to the Oaks, I think that's and that's not the old administration building. I think that's the financial aid office, Carnegie Hall. So if we had the Oaks, Booker T's house, Carnegie Hall, Margaret Murray. I don't even know that we need the Wilcoxes for real. But Moton, whatever this is, what is this part of? This is not part of Chappie. That's the old business school. These buildings along here for certain. So this is outside of the gate. This is inside of the gate. We just want to make sure that this map is accurate. Boy Scouts Circle, Franklin Road. I'm not sure where Lewis Adams Lodge is on this map, but we would want to find out. Oh, I was right. Washington Avenue is the name of the road that comes out across here. And then it doesn't go all the way to West Montgomery, does it? I don't think so. I think you would have to go down Washington and then turn on Clark to get back to West Montgomery Road. Unless you're going all the way down. See Adams Street. I'm just trying to gauge some of this context, you guys. So Washington Ave. The Washington Ave and Montgomery don't intersect. They just parallel one another. But it would be good to get Franklin down to Washington. So from the Oaks down to Washington Ave, where Washington intersects with Clark, and then Clark over to West Montgomery. But where's the post office? I think the post office is on Scott Street. But let me double check. Tuskegee Institute Post Office. 1702 West Montgomery Road. Where is it? I don't see it. Am I blind?
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for the post office. Oh, yes. So it's on Scott Street. So we would go down to Franklin Road as far as Washington Ave, go over, and then on Montgomery.
You don't close none of your tabs when you're done with them, Miss Asamoah?
No, because I leave them open. I leave them open because I have information on them for you half the time. And sometimes I forget. Like, yeah, it's not, my motherly brain is not the same as my 20-something-year-old mind used to work. So I always have a million tabs open. Don't judge me, Jalen. So yeah. Franklin down to Washington and over to Clark. And then Clark intersects with, does it intersect with Scott? Trying to get a good triangle going. Even if it's not a triangle, a something. Okay, cool. So we come up West Montgomery, stop at Franklin Road, Franklin and Washington Ave, that intersection. Washington Ave intersects with Scott. So Franklin, Washington, Scott would be our potential boundaries. Franklin, Washington, Scott, and West Montgomery. So it's not a triangle really, it's more of a trapezoid, but I think y'all get the general idea. Am I making any sense whatsoever?
Yes.
Okay. Why doesn't it let me highlight anymore? Yeah, I used to have a smoother highlighting marker from what I remember, but I could be wrong. So I'm going to take this map, I'm going to save it out, and I want to show you some techniques for presenting. Oh, wait, before I do that. So I said, I talked to the modeling team, my visual storytelling team. You need to go ahead and get a storyboard together and start the documentation process. So that means getting a hold of Dr. Daniels, who's currently on campus, to get the camera, like the camera for the university, or if you from TSACS, or if you have a better camera or something like that, then, you know, do that, but talk to him about using the drone, etc. So if y'all need to leave to do that, I would do that now, because you know it's going to be hard to catch him later in the week. So that was visual storytelling, both modeling teams, my mapping team. So now I'm coming to Cedric and Rakia.
So is Professor Daniels here right now?
Yeah, I just, when I was at Wilcox, he was over there. So that was about a half hour ago.
Maybe I missed something. I guess I must have missed a part of how you divided up the groups. Or is it still the same groups we've been in?
So the other day I sent y'all out an email assigning you to different groups. You get that email?
Okay. All right, let me go through my emails. There's been a lot of different emails I've gotten. Give me 1 second.
Did y'all see this? There's a park on South Greenwood Street. What, South Greenwood Park? On Logan Street. It's like on the corner of Logan Street and Clark. That might need to be included. Yeah, that's below Scott Street. We might have to include that into our context. Here's the church. Where is, I want to say it's the oldest church in Greenwood, but I'm not certain which one it is. Here's Greenwood Baptist, Washington African Methodist Episcopal Chapel, St. John African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church. What else? Who was that? Always calls me. Does anybody know where Greenwood Cemetery is? I'm trying to make sure we get some important historical spaces within our context.
It's on Montgomery Road. It's let me see. I think it's across from a church, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there's like a church and a car wash over there. Here's St. Joseph's. Carver and Conflict. I don't know what that means. Carver Street and Conflict. Ridge Street. Tuskegee Institute. Anyway, I would start modeling this map. We might have to expand our parameters, but this would be my base map if I were the modeling teams. And essentially you're going to have to overlap that contour map with the base map. So you want to make sure you scale both and then take them into AutoCAD so that you get your topo lines as well as your property boundaries. And the property boundaries can be scored into whatever material you're using with the laser cutter, and then the topos themselves would be cut. So I think it's the difference between using a red layer and a cyan layer, but I would definitely look that up because it's been a very long time since your professor used the laser cutter. Or you could pull one of the 4th or 5th year students aside to assist. I know who worked on that project, the site model last year. I think it was Joshua and Alex Jones, Joshua Gordon and Alex Jones. But I think we might have to do a class where we go over how to set up layers for the laser cutter, because all of you should be able to use that at some point. I need to talk with Dr. Daniels and make sure y'all have access to the room.
Asamoah.
Yes, sir.
I just walked over to Wilcox. It was locked, and then I had called him. He didn't answer. So,
Hold on. Miss Jackson's not in there.
No, ma'am.
I'm gonna call him right now. I know Dr. Wild's there and Dr. Henderson's there. Well, Dr. Henderson was there. I'm going to text Professor Daniels, Dr. Daniels, and let him know that y'all are trying to connect with him. Good afternoon, Dr. Daniels. So who else is on that team? Mr. Carlisle and Mr. Johnson. Carlisle and Mr. Johnson are trying to get a hold of you. Wow. Jalen, are you in Wilcox A?
I'm in A now.
Okay. The smell still smells stinky over there.
It does in the bottom. And it's cold too. And our studio is cold. And it's so crazy because in second year studio, they got the good
Yeah,
heat.
y'all gonna have to get some.
Like I walked in there, you could hear the heater blowing and everything. Like it felt good in there.
What you talking about? Third year, fourth year studio?
Second year studio. Our studio last year.
Oh, the second year studio. Yeah, I don't know who. Old buildings, Mr. Carlisle, Mr. Johnson.
Over there again now. I'll be right back.
All right. Do you have Dr. Wow's number? He signed off. You are in Wilcox C. Front door is locked, and I left my office. They need help regarding equipment for the visual storytelling portion of Greenwood. Boom. Greenwood. Boom. Bang. All right. So back to this map, which I'm finding more and more interesting as I go down. I'm wondering if these gray parcels are just gray because they're empty lots. Very interesting. But Mr. Davis, are you on here? My head. All right, so I'm gonna take this I'm gonna try and save it out and then take it into Photoshop just so that I can make some delineations. I can download this image. Did it work? What did I do? I can't be the only one that gets a headache from looking at the screen for too long. Get some protected glasses. No, Dr. Wow is there. All right, can y'all see Photoshop on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Doo-doo. See, this thing was supposed to have exported, but where did it go to? Let's see. I just have to take a screenshot. Save image as. See, what is a snap file? That doesn't make any sense to me. That's what happened yesterday. Download this image. Where did it download to? Have any of you attempted to do this before? Downloaded the image from export selection as image. Maybe that will work. Export. What is happening? Control C. See if this will work. Copy paste it. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Create new custom. Create. Let's see what happens. Nothing. Ah, that's frustrating. All right, so once I figure out how to get that map out of there, what I want to do is go in and essentially select the roads and the red lines and the buildings and subtract them and turn them white so that it gives us a more neutral palette, base palette to work with. And then the lots will shade one color, the the buildings will not be shaded. So I want to go through and subtract all of the red so that the boundaries, the outline boundaries will read as white. I think we can leave the gray lots gray, but that yellow I'll probably change to a different hue because it's a little old school. It's kind of beige. That's what I'm not really feeling. I want to change it to a cooler gray. And then another thing that's not included on here that we will include in some of the final concept development drawings will be all of the greenery. But I think for now, everybody kind of has their task and you know what you need to go do. If you have any questions, there are a couple different things that you can look up on YouTube in terms of setting up CAD layers for laser cutter. And this will literally go through the step-by-step process. So here, if you look on the screen, just on the thumbnail, it says deep score is white. So those are how you want to set up your layers. The deep score is white. A shallow score is red. Then the green is a first detail cut. And the second is the blue is an outer cut. So meaning the blue will actually, if you were cutting out a building, the blue line should cut out your building. The red lines are for scoring. The white lines are for a deeper scoring. And so I would recommend that as you are thinking about this, of course, your contours would be set up in blue because you want those cut out. Your building footprints can be cut out as well or scored on the surfaces. One thing that becomes somewhat difficult when you're developing site buildings is making sure that if you cut out a segment in your contours, that it lines up correctly. Okay, that's no problem, Trent. And then in terms of like a detail cut, then that would mean like your windows or like window frames or something. But anything you want to cut out completely is going to be blue. But the first step is getting this, the contours and the site map drawn up in AutoCAD. So you want to start there first, physical modeling team. And you could reach out to Mr. Fluker and see if he already has that map in CAD. But I would look at these videos on YouTube, because people will tell you about cutting different materials and things of that nature. So that is just a suggestion of mine. What else? But that modeling team, physical modeling team, whoever's working on that, I think that's 3 Stacks and
No.
no? 3 Stacks, what are you working on?
No, I said Nile.
Oh, Nile, yes. So 3 Stacks and Nile. That's the first thing that y'all need to do. So y'all need to get on that ASAP. So as soon as we can figure out how to get that picture saved out that's on concept board, the better. And this actually goes through, sorry. This is one of the videos that I came across that goes through the process of developing something similar to what I was thinking about for your visuals, Rakia and other child, Mr. Davis. So I would look at, I think I just Googled urban planning, rendering an urban planning map or creating an urban planning map or something like that, but I can share this video with you, or developing a master plan, something like that. Urban master plan, urban landscape master plan rendering Photoshop material tutorial, sorry. I don't know about all this music. I can of course go through this stuff step by step with you. And I definitely can. I just want to get that map saved out. So as soon as I figure out how to get that map that's on concept board, then y'all can start working. So I'm going to reach out to Professor Fluker and see if he has it. And if y'all have any questions, please feel free to contact me. But I want everybody to get started on their task And whoever needed to go about taking photographs of the site, please, like more detailed photographs of the site along those corridors, please, let's get that done before Friday so that we can have something to show to the Gensler team.
Okay, cool, no problem.
All
That
right.
shouldn't be too tough.
It shouldn't.
I was going to say because I see the email with the photograph and document buildings along the business corridor, not on the map or vacant lots. I also sent an email out to Professor Daniel. Is it cool if right now for Gensler representing on Friday, like I could go down to definitely take, you know, photos and images going along both of those streets, but I want to try to like work a little bit more of the storyboarding and the visual storytelling, because I don't think I'm gonna have that ready by Friday, just because like that I need to practice that a little bit more and try to understand like what angles we really want to get specifically and how we want to tell the story. So
I think what'll help you, Kayvon and Jalen, is to first just kind of think about, before you worry about the angles and before you worry about what images, worry about the story itself. Focus on what you want to talk about. Do you want to talk about the history of Tuskegee? Do you want to talk about the history of Greenwood? Do you want to talk about the demographics of Tuskegee? Like, what are you telling within a 5-minute clip? Okay, before you get into the design of it, what information is pertinent that you need to express to somebody that's never ever been here before.
Okay.
So that's where I would start, is just blocking out those squares and writing that information down, like the actual story first. And then you can go back and focus on what angles and what views you need to communicate that story. So story first, then visuals.
Okay.
And then actually go out and capture those images. Mr. Carlisle, did you have any luck?
No, ma'am. But I'm just gonna go ahead and text him and see if he'll come maybe tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I did text him. He didn't respond. I did let him know that you were trying to get in touch with him. So, all right. So that is going to be it for today. I'm going to reach out to Mr. Fluker and see if I can get the necessary documents for y'all to start on that map. But I was just telling Kayvon, Jalen to go ahead and get the photographs of the corridor, both along Montgomery and Franklin. And then I remember in that video, she mentioned that there was a street that had most of the historic homes on it. I just can't remember what street that was. I'll go back and look at it, or I can send y'all the video and y'all can look at it. And if you want to kind of pull apart that video and just take notes and see how it, if you were to improve upon it, what it would look like. But I would say start thinking about the story that you want to tell, past, present, future, before you start worrying about taking like drone footage or whatever. But we do need context photos. So there's two separate things. We need context photos for Friday, but the whole visual storytelling piece, you'll probably have to go back and take like really nice pictures and videos of certain parts of the town and the district.
Okay.
Get what I'm saying?
So for Friday, would it be good to have like maybe a map of going down, let's say both of those, but then take photos of like, okay, if you're standing right here, this is what you're going to see?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. That would be helpful.
Okay.
And as you're doing the storytelling, one thing you want to think about is like, we're focusing on historic Greenwood, talking about why Greenwood was established. And since that history is up on the concept board, I would kind of go back and read that. And that could be something that you reiterate about why this part of town was what it was, because the other side of town wasn't a place that we could, you know, be. And why it's important to kind of preserve that.
Right.
And revitalize that corridor.
Okay, that's really helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else got any questions? Thoughts, frustrations, ideas?
No, ma'am.
Okay, cool in the gang. Modeling team, keep an eye out for an email from me with that map. Actually, I'll try to, if I get that map tonight, I'll try and send it all to you. I just have to figure out how to get it off a concept board or from Mr. Fluker. All right, dears. Y'all be safe out there, and I look forward to seeing you on Friday.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.
See you.